Hello, hi, I'm Sarah and welcome to my class. Today's topic is handheld bouquet. But before I start, I'd like everybody just to take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a minute and feel your surroundings, all the flowers around you, around me. Okay, today I'm going to teach about how to make a handheld bouquet. So by handheld means holding with your hands to make the bouquet, creation of flowers with your hands. So why are we doing this? Because handheld bouquet seems to be the most sought after topics among students, and they really love to be able to put flowers together. Yes, but not just an ordinary bunch of flowers. So if you have seen my lesson the last time round, I taught you how to do an arrangement for a table. So the basic idea is handheld bouquet, and the arrangement has got a big difference in a way that arrangement is done in a bowl setting, where handheld bouquet is done with your hands. So your hands' actions and your hands' perseverance to hold the stems together is very important. So as I will go through this in this lesson, how do you keep that going without halfway giving up? Alright? Why is it such a topic that I feel that is very sought after by students? It's great for everyone, and to curate it, it is as good as doing an arrangement. You also need to curate certain stems to put it together to have an artistic flair about it. So without further ado, I'd like to just start by showing you what I'm going to do, how to choose your flower, why you choose certain flowers. The character of the flowers will lead on to why that bloom is chosen, the shape, the composition, the color coordination. All this, when you put up properly together, you will get a really beautiful bouquet that look effortless, but yet, gorgeous. So let's start. We are going to do a wildly wonderful bouquet this time around. I like to introduce the tools again. We have a scissors that cuts ribbon because you will finish off with ribboning. You have a shears for your plants and your stems. If you like, you can have some twine or ribbon. For me, I like to commit to using some fabric tapes. We call it anchor tapes. And I have split them up into little strips like that for easy usage. Yeah. So I'll just stick it to my table. Let's go. I'll pick my flower first. So I think that, you need to coordinate the colors that you are using. So I think this two colors really goes with each other really well. The red and a bit of orange tinged. And I have the purple. And then, of course, with the purple, I'll mix it with this Alstroemelia purple, clematis. Okay. Maybe I have some breakage in terms of the tones. So I'm going to introduce a little bit of pinks in this STB form. Really beautiful texture and shapes, and it can actually break the monotonous of the bouquet, right? So, and of course, I always love some of these accents and a little bit of like the mist kind of feel. And oh, look at this. Look at the Alstro, beautiful curves. So these are little things you need to look out for. The curves, the dancing factor of the stems, which actually will give your bouquet a different perspective, I would say. All right? So let me start now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the tripod method. Right? The tripod is a method that is three-legged. That means you have three stems. A lot of people say that we invented them, but I don't think we did. But I love to think that we did that. So dissecting of your bouquet is also very important. Without dissectment, it will be just one bunch of things like all squashed together, and then your bouquet wouldn't turn out nice and refined. So anything below here, the stems, we'll just remove, yeah? And put the small little ones away, which you can use it for practice in your other arrangement if you liked. So tripod means 3 legs, right? You can use this one. That's what I meant by 3 legs. So to start with, I have my hand in this oval shape. With this oval shape, I sit the 3-leg stems. You can see? Then I will add in things like my main flower, which I think this is quite a big flower, which I think it could be the focal flower. And because it's a main flower, it doesn't have to be sitting right smack in the center. If you see my last video about centerpieces, it's the same idea. You don't need to sit the big flower, which is your focal flower, right smack in the middle. Then it will look very unnatural. Okay? Like to add in some straw. As I go along, right, I like to take weight off by snapping the stems. Of course, you don't snap it overly short. You can just have an estimation. Later on, you can go in and cut further. Don't overcut your stem. Otherwise, you might just have it too short and it becomes useless. But I don't want to leave it too long either because it's adding weight to the whole entire bouquet. Okay. So with this, right, certain people feels that after doing this for a while, because they couldn't get the shape right, so after much holding, their hands or their finger become cramped. What do? Well, for me, I feel that you can actually start taping if you're committed to this placement, right? And when you tape, it is taping where your fingers are holding. So once you tape, means you're committed to the placement and there's no more changing. So I will tape there. And please, when you tape, be very, very mindful that the shape of the tripod still stays. That's why we call it tripod. Can you see? The tripod is still there. I'd like to add some of these. I like to clean up my flowers and dissect them as I go. But of course, for beginners, you can always clean out your flower first. Now I would like to trim here to take off the weight. Adding another ester bee here. Now comes my beautiful clementines. And looking at this flower, the shape and the character of this flower is very dancey. So use it as a highlight flower, which is like dancing on top, and not to hide it there and squash it. And then they become useless. And you kind of just crush them and they don't look beautiful anymore. So the nature of it got to be expressed out in that way. Like you can raise above, you know, like all this hanging. It looks really natural and pretty. I will remove all these leaves here. See how nice it graced that place there? Again, I like to cut the stem off. Don't discard buds like these. They are really useful to make your arrangement or your bouquet interesting. It's the texture of it. I'm finding here a bit crowded, so I'm just going to trim off. And I like to also stress on the negative space part. When you have negative space, see like this, it's a space where you build an element around, and hence all these things will kind of pop up because of the negative space. So it's important that you give room for that, right? And negative space also means by taking off unwanted leaf and make it less of a crowd there. So this is adding weight to me. I'm getting heavier, so I'm getting out of that. So now you can again commit yourself, because if your hand is getting tired, you can tape, start taping it. And again, taping means a commitment to the placement. You can't change out of it, so you have to be at peace and be very comfortable when you commit to taping it, right? I always think that odd numbers are really nice in terms of creation. It doesn't give a very symmetric balance. It gives a nicer asymmetric balance. So things that is very outstanding in terms of their color, I think 3 is nice. I like further to add some more leaves. And I love to use these really. See how it changes the dimension of the bouquet. So I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable with this leaf here. I'm just going to remove it because it's overcrowding here. Can you see? Adding this little last bit. And I'm just going to check for any space that I feel I can improve on with some of these buds. Maybe here. So for me, right, I love to have my work, be it arrangement or bouquet, to have a 365 all-round beautiful look and placement. So that there won't be any back side to anything. Everyone will be a front side. So I will check my bouquet around. Let's do this.
What length is the appropriate length for bouquet?
Okay, it really depends on how much your top is. But a rule of thumb for me, I like to keep my bouquet, especially bridal bouquet, handheld bridal bouquet, really short, the stems. Because I don't want the brides to be carrying it and have a lot of stems showing. We rather see the flowers than the stem. So I feel even for bridal bouquets like this one, I might just want to chop it to just so. But if you want to give it as a gift bouquet, it's nice to leave it a bit longer so that it can go into a nice vase and have a prolonged vase life. I think that is what I've done for my bouquet. Let me do the last taping and we can ribbon up and trim off the stems.
What difference you from other florists who are doing bouquet? Yeah, they're doing bouquet, but what's the difference?
I think bouquet can be done in many methods. This is what we call the tripod because you can see after even if it's finished, it's kind of like standing like a tripod. Whereas there are florists who do tapping method, which is like a round bouquet where you go spiral. And there's also cascading bouquet. I mean, all these methods, we will approach it. I think it's more like, these are techniques that we can do and will teach. It doesn't belong to any florist or belong to me. I think it's more of a style that each of the florists or each of the brand will have lah. Like for us, our style is more like natural, very nature inspired, very wild. Whereas maybe for some florists, it's more manicured, it's rounder, it's very neat. So it depends on brand to brand, I guess. So this is my completed version of my bouquet. I could also have it chopped shorter if I liked, but I will make sure that it's chopped really neat, and it's good to give it a flat cut, right? So the confusion is, if you give a cut like that, 45 degrees, it is good if you're keeping it in a vase, right? 45 degrees. But if you start cutting all the stems as a bridal bouquet to be 45, it's going to look really messy. And when the bride carries it, I don't think it looks good lah. So for me, my preference is to cut it really flat and clean and neat, where every one of the stem is looking about the same length, right? So, and I like to see whether my bouquet stands or not. So, same thing, weight composition and balancing will actually make your bouquet able to stand, and that determines, you know, it's standing. Let's give me a clap. Yay. So now let me put on a ribbon. Oh, this ribbon that George prepared for me here looks like my blouse.
What kind of ribbon is this?
This is actually a crinkled silk ribbon that we actually dye ourselves with natural dye. Yeah, we can show one of the topic, you know, of this. Do keep a lookout for our classes, and we actually do teach natural dyeing as well. Okay.
Natural dyeing as in using natural
Material like plants and leaves and fruits and seeds and
colors too?
yeah, you'll be surprised. Interesting. And it's so much better for the environment, I guess. And we kind of recycle and upcycle all the flowers. We can even hammer the flower onto the fabric, and then you have some imprint of them.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you gauge your bouquet size?
It really depends on who you're making for. So the intention is very important. Who you're making for, what occasion it is for. I mean, you have a bride that comes to you and she's really petite, but she wants a gigantic bouquet. It's her choice, I guess. But of course you can advise as a florist. But there are also people who has preference for little petite bouquets. It really doesn't matter, I guess. It really depends on your final intention. Just give it a nice trim here. Whoops. I think I'll add a little bit more. Right. Here we go. Thank you. This is the bouquet that I have made and demonstrated. I hope that you have learned something in our class. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye. Huh? You never tell me rolling. You know, if you have seen my lesson, if you have seen my lesson last week, we did So if you have seen my lesson, wrong. We are curating it with flowers that are blah blah blah. Sorry, we're going to create some wild. Josh must hate me. Your editing is going to be so difficult. Okay, anyway. So what we're going to start with today. Hang on, focus. For you to be able to. I hate myself today. Da 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 da. What are you going to do? Are you going to cut me now? Or read it?
Never even stop.
So you don't want to stop?
It's very useful.
Okay. Dun dun dun.
Relax, don't shower.
Okay.